what they needed. Tea bags found easily, just me that couldn't see them in plain sight. Feedback to myself. Thank you for coming back promptly. We have lots to chew on and talk through today, and it's brilliant that we can get as much time with our speakers, and please keep asking your questions as you have them. This next session, we've got Astri and Dina going to put in them. Astri is the president of the European HA, and Dina is a new trustee, and they're going to talk about a European perspective on the new drug therapies. So we're staying in the same lens. We've looked at the drugs, we've looked at Scotland, and now let's see what Europe is excited about and thinking about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My presentation is maybe coming over our presentation. Thank you. So it's really an honor for me to be here today. It's the first time I attend a National Day in Scotland. I've been in Edinburgh for a couple of times for other meetings, but never met you guys. So that's really a pleasure and a great honor for me, because I've been involved in HD associations for almost 40 years now. Obviously in Norway, where I was growing up, and the first international contacts I made was with Scotland. So Scotland and the Scottish Association has always been the big brother for me in the association family. So it's really nice to be here. So I'm here because I'm president, and now I need to push the right button, of the European Huntington Association. So this is the map of where we have members. And the red countries are the ones that have members. And since this was made, Greece should have been painted red because they registered their association this summer and joined the European family, which is really nice. So, but there are still blue countries here. And to my knowledge, they don't have any HD association. And what we see and what we really think is a vital tool to improve the situation for HD families is an association. It seems to be a clear pattern that where we have a strong association, the situation for the Huntington families is better. Of course, it's also due to general economic options for the state, but it's not only. It's also about really acknowledging the needs of the families and being a strong voice. So I will talk more about what we think and what we do from the European side. But before I do, I would like to say a few words about myself, just for you to know where I come from. So this is me a few years ago. So it's taken in springtime 1963. And here my mother is 33. And she's happy here. But when she got me, she ran into a really serious birth depression and was hospitalized for 3 months. But here she's back on her feet again and smiling happily together with me, which is nice. So she had no HD symptoms apart from her depression, she struggled with all her life. But 10 years later, she had started to develop symptoms, and this is my family, and my father is there, but he's behind the camera, as was always the case in those times. So he's not in one photo almost we have. But here is us, and my mother had symptoms. There were great stress on the family, but we didn't know what it was, and we never talked about it. So we didn't know what it was. Even if her father was sick, we knew. We could tell, but we didn't understand the connection and what was going on. So about 10 years later, she was diagnosed. And then we got in touch with the Norwegian Huntington Association, which had quite recently been established. And for me, that was so important. I also, very early in that time, after we had learned about it, joined a seminar or some kind of meeting like this, but just smaller, a weekend where we met other family members, and we got together in groups and talked about the situation. And for me, that was a life-changing experience. So I don't know how my HD journey would have been without being part of that community, but I'm quite confident that it would have been much tougher. For me, it has been so good to be part of that bigger family. So just to let you know, time has passed by since this photo too. And I learned 8-9 years ago, I did the test and learned that I had been very lucky and didn't inherit the gene. So my little brother there on the lap of his big brother, he sadly died 3 years ago from Huntington's disease, only 46 years old. And my oldest sister there with blonde hair, she's in a really advanced stage in a care home. She's 61 now. So the three of us in the middle, we have been very lucky. So this is my core family, my biological family, but being part of the community also gives you the pleasure of being member of other extended families. And it's literally spoken. It's not just something I say. Maybe you know this. It's really so wonderful. So this is one extended HD family I'm a part of. So this is me there with some blue things, and then it's Bea from Belgium. It's Svein Olaf, who happens to be my husband. It's Filipa from Portugal. It's Barbara from Italy. It's Danuta from Poland. And then it's Dina from
Scotland. Yes, hi, I'm Dina de Sousa. There's quite a few people here that I know, but lots of faces that I don't know. I'm not Scottish, as you can tell from my accent, but I've been here now 20 years. I'm originally from Toronto, where I grew up, but was born in Portugal. So that's why Astri was asking me, where are you from? My HD journey started in 2007 when my father was diagnosed with Huntington's disease completely out of the blue. We didn't know anything about it. And immediately I decided to do the predictive testing, and I've inherited the gene. I've been very open about my gene status, and I will talk to anybody about HD. I think that this disease has been hidden and stigmatized long enough, and we need the courage to take off our masks and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. That's how the future is going to lead to better things. Over the last 11 years, I've learned as much as possible about Huntington's disease, and myself and my husband, who's over there, my pillar, our outlook on it is that knowledge is power. In the summer of 2015, I attended the first EHA meeting in Warsaw, very last minute. I knew about the meeting, but it's a bit expensive. I don't know if I should go, but then I was the last person to register. But going to that meeting changed my HD path. I'd attended other meetings like the AHDM, but this was different. This was more personal, more subjects on carers, patients. And I met so many inspirational people with all the same common goal that I decided then that I still have time. I still have the ability to do more. So I decided to seek out being a member of the European Association. So that's... Oh, sorry, I forgot about my picture. That's my father. This picture is very dear to me because it's in the late stages of his disease, and most HD patients don't smile at the end. But the carers in his home were able to capture that smile, and it's... Anyways, I don't want to start crying with this. But so it's been 2 years that I've been part of the board, and these last 3 years have opened doors, have made me grow. I actually wouldn't be standing here 10 years ago talking to an audience. It's the last thing that I would do. But, you know, when you're faced with different choices, not what you had planned, you have to make the most of your life and go forward. And I've been involved, it's been a privilege, I've been involved with people from all over the world. We, as it's been said this morning, have a fantastic national association. And like Kat said, you go to conferences worldwide, I come back amazed how much we have. But we can learn and we can teach because there's a greater global community out there, and we actually should be working without borders. So I was very fortunate last year to go to Rome for the big HD event and meet the Pope. That was such an emotional day, surrounded by 1,500 HD patients, carers, families, physicians. Really, the picture says it all.
So this is the board of the European Huntington Association. And what do? We cover, or we say that we represent through our member associations more than 30,000 people throughout Europe. And 44 organizations or associations are members, and they come from 28 countries. And this photo is taken on our business meeting this September in Vienna during the EHGN conference, or just before that. And here you see 60 people from 25 countries. So this is basically the business meeting of the EHA. So we feel that we are really representing a huge group, and that gives us confidence to be a strong voice, which is needed. We want to be an influential player towards politicians, regulators, pharma, all players in the field to work for a better condition, better everyday life and future for Huntington affected families. So our vision, our main goals is dignity. And as Dina says, there is so much stigma attached to this disease and so much fear and so much shame. And we need to fight that and really fight for respectful, how we can meet everybody in this disease with all kinds of respect. So that's an important thing. You know, I don't know why this disease and other diseases are attached to so much stigma and shame, but it is. I was just talking to a lady from Kenya, and she told that her grandfather, they thought he was bewitched. And he's not that old. And I think we have some of the same inheritance here, although it's a little other colors, but I think the shame comes from somewhere of this superstitious way of thinking. I don't know. And care, of course, as Kath also was talking about, better care today is crucial for us also to work for. And what we see from the European perspective is that there are so big in difference between countries and also within countries in access to care and social service or whatever support you need. So we need to fight for the same availability for everybody affected. So we really reach out to countries where there are no associations also, because we think that's important for the HD community. To show solidarity and care about those who have less than us. And believe me, no country in Europe, no country I have ever visited feels that the situation is satisfactory. Even if you're doing great in Scotland in so many ways, and you really are, there are still so many unmet needs for the families. And the same is in Norway. I mean, we were maybe even richer than Scotland, I don't know, but the situation there is also good in many respects, but so many unmet needs for the families. So there is so much work to do here. And then, of course, we have about treatment. We involve in the work to have treatment. I have been one of the spokespersons for hoping, which has been extremely important in my life, to hope for an efficient treatment to come. But as I went down the road, I understood hoping is not enough. You have to act. You have to, because treatment is not found. It's made, it's developed through hard work. And we should be a player and really a proactive partner in that work. So even if it's not mentioned as a vision, there is another red thread in the work we do in the European Huntington Association, and that is collaboration. And we have formed a coalition with the American and the Canadians, and Dina will tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so this year, HD COPE was formed, and there's 20 people on this team from Canada, the United States, and Europe. And that's us there. We had our first meeting in London at the beginning of this year. And this is, HD COPE stands for Coalition for Patient Engagement. And the goal is to give families affected by Huntington's disease a direct and impactful voice in clinical research. And this is the way of the future. Pharma companies actually want to speak to family members. They want our input. We know about the disease, not them. The carers know about the disease. Pharma knows about science and money, but the input that we can give for these clinical trials is invaluable. So we are unique in this. I don't think there's any other disease in the world right now that has this sort of organization or input. That weekend, we met with Roche, the start of their phase 3 study, and we had a whole day with them. There were 25 people from Roche company. There were 25 members from Roche who sat around the table with us, hearing about what was important. And that was just phenomenal. There's 25 of them from a company who were there listening to us. We've also met with WAVE in Vienna, and that was the study that Stuart talked about. And they are already planning, even though they're only starting the phase 1/2b now, they're already in the works with phase 3 for that trial. And I've also had the privilege of meeting with Unicor, which is another company based in the States, with another trial that's in the pipeline.
Great. So HD COPE is about giving input to pharma, to industry, everybody basically who is interested in doing clinical trials. We want to give our knowledge, our expertise into that. But it's also about, and it's really interesting what Stuart talked about, this long process on ethics, for instance. Hello? They are supposed to protect us. So we should be there and argue for the need of speeding up these processes. It doesn't make sense to me that it takes so long. It's necessary. I want them there. I want all clinical trials to be performed in an orderly manner and secure manner. Of course I do. But the process can be speeded up. That's I want to say that must be possible. And when the bird flu or other fears rage around the world, they can speed up considerably. So it's possible. But we need to argue for that, take care of our security, but speed up. We need this. We want this. We are willing to take some kind of risk. What kind of risk are we willing to take? Go ahead. Approve. So that's also an important role for HD COPE in the future. And it should grow. It should be more global. Now it's North America and Europe. We are a world. We are a global community. So we will have other parts of the world involved as soon as possible. By the end of this year is my goal. So that's HD Cope, a very important tool for us in this collaborative effort to make treatment as good as possible, or the research and the clinical trials as good as possible to have the efficient treatment coming. And as Dina said, because when you talk to people and want them involved in this, then they say, oh, but I am not an HD expert. I don't know research. No, that's okay. That's fine. We can't replace the expertise that others have. But what we do have is really unique. And I just took this photo of some chess pieces because I think it's a good picture on what I'm meaning is that the different chess pieces, they can't replace each other. They are all unique and they all can move in a unique manner. And that's how the play is played. So even this, is it called piece in this one? Pawn. I can't say it.
Pawn.
So it's considered as maybe the least valuable piece, but it can, at least together with somebody else, it can put the king checkmate. And that's us. Maybe we can consider ourselves to not be so valuable, but we really are, because we are many also, which is a good thing. So this expertise is highly now also wanted by pharma, and authorities say we should be part of this. So we need to make our voice loud and clear. And so, hello, here you are. I guess you know her, most of you, Sarah Tabrizi at the UCL in London, who was the principal investigator for the Roche, or Ionis-Roche trial. And there is, as Dina also saying, a lot of trials coming along. And all this is just possible because of collaboration among a lot of partners. And that's where we are. And pharma is also a partner in this. So Dina, maybe you can tell a little bit, because you have taken part in some.
I've taken part in quite a few, not trials, but studies. And I think everybody's participation in any of the studies is crucial, because to proceed with these clinical trials, we need patient involvement. They won't happen by the results won't occur without participation. One of the studies that I'm involved with, and I hope that everybody in this room is also involved, is Enroll. And for me, Enroll, there's over, as Stuart said this morning, there's over 17,000 people on this database. This is unheard in any other rare disease. And for me, Enroll is like our little HD army. We're already there to be called upon. And this is what we need. And it's not just patients, people who are at risk can also participate in Enroll. And there's so much exciting things that are happening right now. Roche, Wave, there's other things in the pipeline. And there's a quote that Sarah once said in one of her talks, so I'm going to steal it from her, but it's a Churchill quote. And it said, where am I? I need my glasses. That's the problem with getting older. It usually helps. Now is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but it is perhaps the end of the beginning. And this was, I had this in my talk here, but it's already been covered by Stuart with the Roche trial. 660 patients, fantastic number. 80 to 90 sites worldwide, phenomenal. And in 15 countries. And we need all hands on deck, because we are all part of a puzzle, the piece in a puzzle to combat HD.
So being a part of that support system is important. As taking part in observational studies or volunteering to be able to be eligible for clinical trials, if that's possible for you, but also for the others around, to be supportive. Because being part of a trial can be challenging emotionally. So people need support. And we as associations, as a community, needs to realize that and to be supportive and to know about it and to know about the importance and to encourage and support whoever is volunteering to be actively taking part. That's also an important message, I think. And we need to also, I think, care workers or social workers or health workers, they know too little about the ongoing research. They should know about it, and they should be supportive also and encourage us to be a community together and be in this, as you say, all men on deck or all hands?
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck, okay. We say all men on deck in Norway. So, but there is a lot of work that needs to be done. Looking ahead, because I'm very confident that in some years, nobody knows how fast it will happen, but in some years there will be efficient drug that can really postpone the development of Huntington's disease. And we need to be prepared for that, in the sense that the health authorities should realize, as Kath also was talking about, should realize that there will be changes here. People will demand and need this treatment, and access to treatment cannot be taken for granted. So we need to work to make that happen. When the trials have, hopefully, and I'm quite confident some of them will succeed, then we have done our part of the job of preparing the territory for having it approved. And that's not, as I said, it can't be taken for granted. Maybe you can in Scotland. I don't know the situation in Scotland. No. So we need to really argue and advocate for the needs, for the costs of the situation as it is today, and for the benefit these drugs will bring for people's quality of life and ability to function better, and then eventually for the society. And that's extremely important. I am, from my point of view as a head of the European Association, I really can't miss the fact that I need to work very hard for the more undercovered countries. Romania, for instance, I was recently there. Why shouldn't they have the same access? Of course they should. And that will be a really important objective for us. And globally, why shouldn't the people in Venezuela have the same option to have treatment? They should. And we are stronger if we work in this global manner, because pharma don't really care so much. They are really for profit. So, but they do a lot of good things, and they are really important players to develop drugs. That's for sure. They are good partners, but they are for profit. And they argue that they spend a lot of money, and they do, on research. Clinical trials are expensive stuff. But we need to really argue already that their pricing should be sensible and sustainable for our national health systems. And that if they can sell to the whole world, we can prepare the market for them. Then they need to be fair and price their drugs reasonably. Because Scotland is not a big market. Norway, very small. Portugal, no, not so big. But combined, it's beginning to be really interesting. So that's another reason it's so important for us to work together and to represent as big community and say, hey, we're in it with you. We will do everything we can to make your trials a success. And then you give us accessibility to back. You do everything you can. You do everything you can to have things approved all around the globe. And we will do our part. So there is a lot of work to be done, really. And if anybody of you wants to engage in outside Scotland, please come and take contact with us, because we want to increase our team. But Marjorie Guthrie, we celebrated her 100th birth anniversary for her birth last year. It started with one lady, and that's very inspirational for me. One lady in the 60s established the American Association because her husband, her ex-husband, Woody Guthrie, had developed Huntington's disease, because she saw the need of getting together with other families as crucial to do something with the situation. And then she didn't stop with that. Then she went at least to Europe. I don't know what other parts of the globe she visited, but she came to Europe and she encouraged so many people here in Europe to establish their association. And also one of her legacies is that she was really focused on, we need to collaborate with the professionals. It's not just about family, it's not just about professionals, it's about us together. And for me, that has been a star of how to run things and be guided by these principles. And I'm really inspired by this strong sense that this is so true. There are strength in numbers. So that's just a few of my inspirational sources. And Dina, you have yours.
Which button am I? The forward? So we're ending our talk with, and this is my last slide. Oh, no. These two here are my boys, and they're my biggest motivators. This is everything I do is because of them, for me also, but I've never been a very optimistic person, and since I've known about HD, but something that Sarah, blanking on names, Sarah that said this morning, I think we're very optimistic this last year, and my views have changed, and I can't change what their gene status is going to be. Neither of them have decided to be tested. But I can actually change, and I will change what's available to them and to others in the future. Thank you.